Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We'll just jump right into the Dune Prophecy Episode 1, just a theory breakdown and kind of explain what goes on in the ending. This is the long-awaited premiere of Dune Prophecy. It's finally arrived on Max, signaling the beginning of a new chapter in the vast universe that Denis Villeneuve has created. On the other hand, the narrative will be presented in the form of a serialized style this time around, a staggering 10,000 years before the events take place in Villeneuve's films that are centered around Paul Atreides. The first episode, which is entitled The Hidden Hand, that gives us a tale that's both kind of rich and multi-dimensional in a way. The storyline centered on Paul himself, and consequently, it paints a pretty good picture of the galaxy and the reeling from that devastation, the results of the Bolterian Jihad, which was a conflict that transformed the connection between humanity and technology. So, during the course of the series' exploration of the Dune universe's distant past, the picture is depicted from a vivid perspective, irrespective of the fact that beginning of the show is poorly executed in terms of the pacing and the character complexity. But the climactic end of this episode guaranteed that, viewers will kind of get anxious and want to see what happens next, kind of like some of our favorite TV shows nowadays. One of the first things that the story includes is, a captivating flashback that transported us back in time to the most significant events that have kind of occurred during the Bolterian Jihad. And this conflict was, caused because of the elimination of thinking robots from human society. So the visual depiction of this event is extremely crazy, since it depicts the mayhem and the destruction that's been produced by the war between humans and machines, and utilizing AI. So really that Matrix feel. And there are many other ways that this significant event in Dune universe might be interpreted, and in each of these interpretations adds another layer of depth to the work. And one of those key goals of the battle and Frank Herbert's original novel was to serve humanity's reaction to the loss of individuality and the soul that was brought about by the overreach of technology. This was one of the primary functions of the conflict. On the other hand, the prequel novel written by Brian Herbert, which served more of a source of inspiration for a substantial chunk of the series, portrays more of a fundamental existential war, basically, in which the protagonists are fighting for their existence against hostile machines. But the series appears to favor the later depiction, which is to say that it displays definitely advanced machines that are focused on eliminating people, but this is despite the fact that it weaves in the ideological strands of regaining that human identity that we have. And subsequently, the narrative then shifts into a focus to the Harkonnen sisters, Valia and Tula, who are major figures for the entirety of this time period. So we're definitely going to see them a lot. And in the 9th season of Wallach, the young woman Valia, who is portrayed by Jessica Barden, amazing job, joins the sisterhood with Tula. And this relationship takes place during the course of the season. But in order to provide kind of a safe haven for the sisterhood, which was the forerunner of the Bene Gesserit, Wallach the Ninth, which was formerly a synchronized world governed by thinking machines, has been transformed into a sanctuary. So the huge training facilities that are located all throughout the world are representations of this sisterhood's growing area and influence, and which makes world a delightful, environment. And there are women who have an unmatched talent to discern lies and influence others. And the sisterhood was developed programs that basically teach truth-sayers. And we know truth-sayers are women who have this capacity, under the leadership of Raquella, the first Mother Superior, which did several activities, they've established and implemented throughout the world. And as well as, serving the great houses and functioning as agents of diplomacy and intrigue. These truth-sayers are basically responsible for playing an important role in the upkeep of social order throughout the Imperium. And in her interpretation of the bizarre prophecy known as the Tiran Arafel, Raquella describes it basically as a reckoning that has the ability to consume the entire galaxy. So this prophecy is disclosed in the future that Raquella has envisioned for herself. This prophecy, which is marked by the apocalyptic images of sandworms and fire and that mysterious red dust, kind of gives us a narrative that is steeped in existential dread. And, the story contains a great deal of that existential dread. Not only does Raquella's visions reveal information about that appearance of mechanical blue eyes, and also serves as a disturbing sign that connects the past and the future. And, Valia is given a lesson to learn from the Tiran Arafel because she is chosen to succeed Raquella rather than her own grandchild, Dorothy. And this serves as a cautionary tale for Valia. Dorothy's objections to Valia's adoption of the Breeding Project, which is a genetic program aimed at producing extraordinary leaders, is one of the factors that kind of contribute to this resentment that exists in the sisterhood because of this choice. And, in the light of the fact that House Harkonnen was accused of being cowardly during the Butlerian Jihad, the fact that Valia is of Harkonnen descent adds an additional kind of a degree of difficult to this entire scenario that we see. And the episode comes at a period in time where Valia, who is now portrayed by Emily Watson, has reached the post of Mother Superior. So this kind of occurs about 30 years after the time jump that occurs in the episode. So more in recent years, the Sisterhood would have grown into a formidable organization that's built significant connections throughout the Imperium. And we see the development has occurred with the passage of time because Valia takes advantage of the Truthsayers in order to maintain her control over the Great Houses, as well as carefully orchestrate alliances and marriages all over in order to forward the purposes of the Sisterhood. She's also got a strong desire to be a member of House Corrino, and more specifically to be with Princess Inez, who is the rightful heir to the Golden Lion throne. And Inez, who's shown as a young woman who's having a difficult time coming to the terms with the obligations that comes with her royal status. And in fact, the point of Valia's goals are also tied with this. Even so, the harsh realities of the political connections in this world are brought to light by her marriage to Pruitt Riches, a little boy of 9 years old. This marriage brings kind of a light to that harsh truth of the political relationships that we see. And there's also an additional degree of complication here with the inner struggles that Inez is going through as a result of the romantic connection that she has with her swordmaster, Kieran Atreides, who's also, as we know, an ancestor of Paul Atreides. And additional layer of emotional force is, added to this story by this illegal romance, and it's kind of characterized by moments of tenderness, juxtaposed with political scheming, and the character of Emperor Javico, who is represented by Mark Strong, is having a difficult time retaining the control over the Arrakis and the priceless spice supply that it possesses during this time. So consequently, we see, despite his attempts with the tension with the House Corrino, this is increased by all this happening. And Desmond Hart, a dark figure portrayed by a great actor Travis Fimmel, makes kind of his entrance into this drama, which adds this additional element of mysterious narrative. And I think it's more profound conspiracy at play here, because according to Desmond, who claims that he's the only person to have survived an assault on an Imperial outpost, Desmond is the only person who has survived such an assault. So his confrontations with the Emperor reveal cracks in the foundation of the Imperium, which, occurring at a time when there is a growing discontent among individuals who kind of dispute that authority of the great houses and the bans on these thinking machines. And then a startling and mysterious solution that gets revealed in the episode's climax, which brings together all of these distinct threads in a way that is extremely intriguing, according to the fact that Desmond survived an attack by sandworms, which kind of an event comparable to Raquel's prophetic vision. It's kind of plausible that Desmond is probable predecessor of the Tiran Arafel. And this is because of the fact that Desmond survived the onslaught proven by his terrible acts, which include, the apparent manipulation of Pruitt and Kasha, a truthsayer, and their final killings. He appears to kind of possess a power that can't be explained right now. And this is evidenced, by the reality that his actions are terrifying. And the image of flaming flesh and blood, which is reminiscent of bloody, holy conflicts associated with the Kwisatz Haderach, gives the kind of impression that the Sisterhood's efforts to exert control over the future may result in the release of forces that are beyond their ability to even comprehend. And Valia comes to an understanding that kind of underlines the fundamental theme on the series, which is that the quest for power and knowledge frequently comes at basically an unthinkable cost. And this realization occurs when she confronts the repercussions of Raquela's prophecy in the last moments of the series. And at the conclusion of this episode, basically, there are just more questions than answers that are not answered, leading kind of us to speculate about the true nature of Tirana Raphael and Desmond Hart's role in the drama that's currently taking place. So we should, should we interpret his existence as a metaphor of a more profound threat that's tied to kind of the mistakes of humanity in the past? Or does he kind of represent the dictator that was foreseen in that prophecy? Given the similarities between his actions and the manipulation of genetic lines that the Sisterhoods carried out, could be a possibility that their objectives could result to the same reckoning that they're attempting to avoid. Taking into consideration also that these revelations are kind of a narrative that's been conceived with the intention of delving into the ethical existence of the dilemmas that are at the heart of Dune's universe. And, through the incorporation of the elements, including personal conflicts, prophetic visions, and the political intrigue, the first episode of Dune Prophecy is able to successfully, I think, build a narrative that is both rich and deep, even though reviews might be all over the place. I think the ambition of the show and its connection to the larger Dune mythos kind of assure us that they'll continue to be exciting contributions to this well-loved universe, despite the fact that pacing and character development may occasionally fail to meet expectations, as it does with many shows. This will be a fascinating subject to monitor kind of as the series goes along, and it'll be interesting to see, how the series handles the struggles between free choice and fate, as well as the ramifications of, humanity's never-ending thirst for power. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are definitely going to be doing a lot more of these episode breakdowns. Thank you very much.